All right, guys, check this out. So this is like one of my biggest fears, right? I just got called out to this commercial property, and it's a retirement community, an old folks home, or whatever you want to call it. And the right side of this place is very geared toward like people with memory loss and stuff like that. And it's like, it's so sad when you go in and you see people that have like worked their whole lives and raised families and fought in wars, and though I'm sure this is a nice place and it's probably high budget for your family member to live here, it's just sad to see like people in walkers just like barely getting around and hunched over and eating and like sleeping on a chair. And it's like, man, like we do this whole life thing, right? Like we're on this hustle, we're chasing paper, right? We're raising families. If you look through a crystal ball and see that all this and you end up in a chair or like barely moving and you're confined to one place, though this is a very large place, you're still confined to one place, right? Like vacation and different tropical islands and Europe and things like that like doesn't exist, right? And it like starts to make you think, as well as like taking care of yourself. Imagine not being mobile, right? Whether you're stuck in a place or you're stuck in a contraption or a thing, or you just can't move, right? So it's like the food that we eat, exercising our minds and learning, being open to options to where it's like, and I know some of this stuff just happens by chance, right? Or accidents or health or genetics, and hopefully like CRISPR and things like that can alternate that route, you know? But it's just crazy, you know? It's like, it's one of the things that as I have birthdays, I mean, obviously I'm not old, but I feel like I'm getting there, man. And it's like, man, like I don't want to be 50 in 13 years, 12 years, right? I don't want to be 50 in 12 years. Like I still feel like I just turned 21. Like I just did the videos. I was just climbing, you know, roofs at rapid paces. It's like one step or 1 second of miscommunication, right? Can literally change everything. The one time you get on a ladder on that little, you know, 1-story 4-pitch, right? It can just move and everything changes. One text while you're driving, everything changes. You're back from working on roofs and your knees just give out, right? And it's just like, you can no longer live the quality of life that you once lived. Or you worked your whole life and now you're confined to a space. One of my biggest fears is like, I don't know if it's like getting old, because when you get old, you get wiser, and I want like a big table with all my grandkids and like a huge family. I don't have any grandkids, by the way, but I want them, right? And I just want to have this big like dining room where it's like King Arthur's round table, or you know, like in a castle, there's like 40 seats, right? And it's like your whole family sitting there, and it's like that's success. This was weird, you know, it was a weird thing for me just to sit there because I had to wait for the superintendent to come help me and show me around where the roof was failing. And I just kept seeing people passing and people just walking to walk, walking to move. And they're serving coffee with like all these different creamers and flavored, sugar-filled things, you know? And I guess once you get to this point and the end of your life, you just want to eat what you want to eat. But like on our way there, we have to pay attention to this shit, right? Like we have to exercise, not only the body, but the mind. Right? And we have to be careful, we have to be aware. No matter how many times we get up and down these roofs and walk these 12s, we're fearless, right? We have to keep in the back of our mind that there's a lot of people that depend on us and our lifestyle can change, right? And we have to be very aware of these things, because without your health, all your dreams and everything that you want in the world doesn't exist, right? There's one thing that you need your health. You need to be able to walk, you need to be able to speak. Well, at least for my dreams, I need to be able to walk, I need to be able to speak, and I need to be able to function. And in order to do that, I do things today so that when that day comes, hopefully, it will help me. And I'll be able to do the things that I want to do and live my life until the end the way that I want to live my life, not confined to a space or confined to a chair or confined to apparatus that helps me stand up, right? So, though that was just some crazy rant, I mean, as far as the consultation went today, it went well. You know, after I sat there for a while and seen what I seen, the guy that greeted me was really cool. He showed me around. You know, it's funny, as I was leaving, I said a comment. I was like, we were walking through the cafeteria and there was wine boxes. And I was like, oh, they have wine here. They party it up. It must get kind of wild around here at night. I was just kidding, right? And he's like, oh yeah, we have entertainment, we have this, and we have all these mixers and things like that. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. He's like, yeah, he's like, these people work their whole lives, and if I can make the end of their life a little bit better, that's what I'm here for. And it's like, man, Like, what a employee, what a staple, what a standard, right? And when I left him, I just shook his hand and I said, man, it's so nice to meet you today. So I'm just glad I was the one that got to come out to this. Usually I don't, it's not me that comes to things. Yeah, it makes you feel better, and it just makes you, like, when you leave this place, it just makes you appreciate things a little bit more, right? Like, appreciate what you have, your family members, and all the gifts that God's given me. It makes me just appreciate it just a little bit more. When business owners or property maintenance people, they're considering, or they need to look for a contractor, I would assume that they're considering, reputation, they're considering years in business, size of your establishment. I know a lot of guys that we do larger projects for, and they constantly compliment, like, I'm so glad I have a dedicated project manager, or I have an ops manager, or your office is so responsive, or every time I can call, I don't have to call your cell phone and leave a message, somebody's there to pick up the phone. The communication aspect for Paramount and for my business model is always been number one and will remain number one, because once they get integrated into our system, then they start dealing with other people. They're looking for reviews, they're looking for reputation, they're looking for when you meet, you're clean, you're thorough, you're not giving them a piece of lined paper with a quote on it. You're not typing it up in Word. It's in some kind of a document at this point, whether it's through your CRM or Sumo Quote or any of the other quoting software that exists out there. See, that's how I want to exit, right? Nothing's wrong, man. Just chilling. Today I inspected behind these shingles here, the slope. It's all flat. It's all EPDM. But we have inspected and done repairs on all these 3-story buildings. And when you're working with 3-story buildings, and you can't see behind us, but there's a little highway. I guess it wouldn't be a little, it's M53, which goes into 75. Most people know what I-75 is. Safety, obviously number one. When you're working on commercial or you're inspecting, at least having some gear with you if you're uncomfortable. I mean, if we're replacing the roofs, of course we're using harnesses and things like that. At this point, I would just use a drone, right? I mean, if I put a ladder up and I walk the peaks of a couple buildings, I would just drone the rest, right? Because typically if you're inspecting one of them, the others are going to be in similar condition, right? I went to Brownstown, well, most of you guys don't know where that is, which is about an hour and 20 minutes south of our office. The other day for a roof inspection on 36 buildings, 3-story, 2.5 story, 8 pitches. Got my paws on, walked one, checked the penetrations, checked the overall quality and what condition the roof was in, and then I sat on one of the porches and flew my drone through the whole complex. And I wrote up a report from that. Especially when you're dealing with property management companies, a lot of times they don't want to just rush right into replacement, right? So there's two things, right? Either one, they've let it go so far that the last thing they can do is replace it. There's no repairs we can do at all to make this last any longer. And then the second way is they call us out a little bit early and it's like, okay, what can we do? The roof's 10 years old, 12 years old, 15 years old. What can we do to make sure we get the maximum life out of this roof? So if that was the case, we'd put them on a yearly maintenance plan where we'd come every year, inspect the roof, caulk, seal the penetrations, check the counter flashings, check the overall integrity of the roof. And the cool thing about that is if there was a storm, you're already inside their Rolodex or their phone, right? If there's a storm, if there's wind damage, if there's hail, trees fall on the property. This one here, they have this big outdoor porch and we redid the flat roof, but then they put brick pavers over the flat roof so that the people could put tables there. Well, there's a railing system that goes around it. Where the pavers go around the railing, there's about a 6-inch gap. I don't know why they cut the pavers so far away from the railing. He asked us, he's like, hey, what can we do with this? He's like, we can fill it with rock, with stone, white stone, and I think it'll look real good. He's like, oh yeah, sure, send me a quote for that. And I told him too, I was like, hey, if there's any big light, like 3-story light bulbs, if there's anything like that on these that we can help you with, let us know, because though roofing's our thing, like I want to stay on top of the mind, right? Like I'm not trying to come and do lay mulch, right? But it's like, hey, I can't find anybody to replace that light on that 3-story gable vent. We'll do that, I'll come out and do that for you. It's not very often this happens, but they sent us an alert to our phones that there's significant chance of hail here. And the chances are like right now. Yeah, between 3 and 5, it's 2:49 right now. We're getting notifications for wind damage about 24 miles to the west of us. So we'll see what happens. Maybe if we go over here, you can see the sky starting to turn. In Michigan, hail's not like a big thing, right? Like we get hail sometimes, but we don't get the big Colorado or Texas hail. Usually, if we can get some marbles or 1 inch, that's pretty good for us. It's enough for us to work it for sure. But today they're saying large hail. I've never seen significant chance of large hail. I've seen 5%, 10%, 20% chance, but not significant. So we'll see what it brings, but it's starting to look a little bit dark. It was 94 degrees when I drove here. Right now it's probably like, I don't know, you think like 80, 82? It's definitely not 94. You can feel in the breeze, there's cool air. So hopefully it's showtime, man. Hello, I'm Eric Reno with Paramount Roofing. Are you worried that this hail has affected your home or your business? Give us a call. We're out right now doing inspections, tarping roofs, and making sure everybody is taken care of through this storm.